there, okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome.
He didn't, hold on, he didn't give.
Oh,
now we're good.
Okay, now we're good, okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are now here for the FY 25 budget year. No, who's Adam?
I'm gonna ask to do 5 this year.
Adam, how are you?
I was talking to Mark. He said,
A little slick out there.
Is it?
Doing good.
Alright, so we have a quorum. And we've got Adam, Richard, Bill, Mark, and Bob. Brian's not here tonight, but and then David is not here. So before our first order of it, I don't know if people wanna go around and just say officially their names, and I know we've got a list, but we all know each other, but go ahead, Mark.
Okay, my name is Mark Bagdasarian, I live on Wells Highlands, and this is my second year as a budget committee member. Alternate, I guess, now do I go from an alternate to a full-timer anytime soon, or?
I don't know, I mean, I think for now it's an alternate.
Just an
It is
alternate,
for
okay.
Richard DeBold, lived down by the ocean and got pretty wet a few days ago. I've been on the committee, I think this might be my 6th year, 5th or 6th year. And that's it.
Bill Wade, I've been on the committee for, I think, about the same amount of time. And I live near a marsh and I didn't get quite as wet as you did, but
And I'm Ron Schneider, and I live over on the other side of the turnpike where that may be oceanfront at someday.
In a few years.
In a few years, and I'm probably not gonna be around for that. So I don't know how long I've been on the committee. Anybody, do you have any idea? 20 years? I don't know how long it is. I really don't know how long it's been.
been
but
that long?
It's been a long time.
I mean, you don't look a day over 35.
Yeah, I know, actually, I don't really know how long it is, but.
Been a while. Mike Pardue, town manager.
Jody Sanborn, your finance director.
Bob Mulcahy, been on the board about 4 years now. Live in Moody.
I'm Adam Bloom Pykopoulos. I've been on board 2 years now, or committee 2 years now, so a few years away from 20. I live off of Loop Road.
Welcome and thank you all for, I think we're gonna have another good year with the veterans. Alright, so we have to nominate and elect a chair. I'll just say, I'm happy to serve as chair, but I'm also happy if there's somebody else who wants to do that.
I'll make a nomination that Ron Schneider serve as chair of the Budget Review Committee.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Other nominations? Okay, all those in favor? Do I get to vote for myself?
Yeah.
Okay. I would nominate Brian as well for vice chair. If again,
Do
if
you know his
some,
wishes?
yeah, he does,
Okay.
he's happy to. So but if somebody else wants to.
Are you nominating
I
Ron?
am nominating,
Oh,
yes.
then I'll second.
Okay, but is there any other nomination for vice chair? Anybody else want? Okay, I do believe in democracy. Okay, all those in favor? Alright, Brian. Great, thank you. One of the things I just wanted to, we have the code of conduct that we just haven't looked at this in a while, and I think it's just it's attached to our agenda. I'm not gonna go over it, I just ask everyone to read it. I have read it again, just as a reminder. What we'd like to do, similar to what we did last year, is run requests through Brian so that nobody gets inundated with requests. Now, if there's a request when we're assigning, when we do the assignment and people are working with an individual department head, I would ask everyone to remember that they have a lot of work to do and that we try to limit the information we're trying to get from them, because they will present information to us. And we have questions that we will ask and meeting with them, but I want to keep that as organized and as efficient and respectful as possible of their time. One of the things that I don't know, that for me, it's second nature now, because when I came on, there were, I know Luke Garrett was the chair for a long time, and I can't remember who was the chair before him. But I was witness to this process of having us go and meet with department heads. But then when we got a new town manager, that, you know, and before Mike, it was, you guys do that? Cause then I say, oh, you mean not every town does that? Like, that's not the norm? I've always thought it was a very productive practice, quite frankly. I thought it was useful, I thought it was helpful to department heads at times, it was helpful to the committee, and I think ultimately helpful to the town manager.
Sure.
And Mike also had the same thing, he just said, you guys do that? I mean, cause not every town does that.
I've never seen it done before, but I concluded last year saying to all of you, you can teach an old dog new tricks. And I thought it worked very effectively. And so, and I appreciate the collaboration that you all demonstrate with our department heads. And so it worked very effectively. So I thank you. It's something, it was neat to see.
Do you think they appreciate it? What sort of feedback do you get from the department?
I do.
Or maybe they don't like us meddling.
No, they like to be able to provide you information so that you feel informed. We're responsible to you, we're responsible to the general public, and so you ask questions that, I think when you're asking questions and maybe it doesn't come across as questioning, that's where it's information gathering, and I think that's really helpful. And so it allows department heads to share that information with you, but also then gives you an opportunity to say, tell me a little bit more, and to ask those questions, because that's what the public needs and wants to know. And so I think it's a real opportunity. I feel every one of them has felt it's a very positive experience. I think where we have to be careful is, as Ron said, if you can channel questions through Brian in this case, that's helpful, because otherwise we end up with being inundated maybe from 2, 3, 4 different members. So if you can collaborate on that, I think that's respectful of the time the department heads have. I will tell you that they're always stretched, and this is always a very challenging time of year. So if you can work with that, that's very helpful to us.
Can I ask you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, as far as the individual departments go, I mean, is there a profit and loss statement that they can provide this committee for each department, so we can understand their expenses and what they're taking in for money? I would like to see something like that on a department by department basis.
It's really not a business. We can show revenues, and you have that information. You know, we're a zero-based budget approach, so we'll show revenues, but the revenues are not developed to offset total expenses. It's not how we operate. So we set a budget number and we operate within the confines of that. So I think it's fair to say, what is the revenue in each department? Some will have very minimal revenue, if any, others will have greater revenue. So if you'd like that ahead of time, Jody is able to produce. We've gone through some revenue statements already.
Yeah, cause I like to zero in on the transfer station as far as being a profit center. So I can understand what they're taking in for income,
Yeah.
what their expenses are, so we can see how the books are balancing out, and I'm very concerned about that.
We're starting to get enough data now that we can reflect back from the new fees, the bag fees, to be able to show some of that.
So we do, just to be clear, for people who are listening, if anybody's listening, but for this group, the information we get does tell us what revenue is taken in that's specific to that department, and expenses and salary. But the whole concept of profit and loss is an incorrect concept when we're talking about government and services that are provided within a town. It's not a profit, we're not a for-profit corporation.
I'm not
So
going
I
to say that
just
it's a
want to be
for-profit.
really clear about that, but the information is there. And we get it, and we have gotten it every year. So when you look at it and read it, you'll see,
I was gonna second that because, you know, I'm from the world of commerce and lending and banking and getting involved in a nonprofit. I've done it on boards, but it takes a change of mindset. And you have to kind of refine that a bit. And you know, there are times when you might have a department that incurs certain expenses that probably all of us like to say, let that go away, we don't want that, but we can't. It's all part of the nature of maintaining a town and its deliberations. So, yeah, you have to make that distinction. But I just did wanna say that I think the fact that we do what we do in terms of interviewing departments, it really creates a focus and a refinement of events. And I think I've been extremely pleased on how welcomed we are by department heads.
Right.
And I think we actually make it more comfortable for them when they actually attend the meeting, having gone through some of this with the members. And yeah, amen.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's exactly what I saw. Foreign to the approach, but I thought it was really productive.
and I don't think you can underestimate, and this is where, you know, it does impact on the budget that's set up, is there are times when, as part of this conversation, the person on the committee becomes somewhat of a champion because there are needs that are expressed. So I think that can be really helpful, and that's why we try to avoid any conflict of interest in the person assigned to that group, because I know that over the years, there were times when we had discussions about certain departments where the person assigned was a more or less a champion advocating for the spending, when there were people who thought it's not profitable, but it's a service, and we're a town, we're a community, and that's why we advocated for it. So,
I would ask, there may be a few times, and I think you saw one last year, in which there was a capital improvement item requested, and you might have seen the town manager said didn't support. So try to see if you can ask what the rationale might be from that position, if that is the case. Those are few and far between, but there may be some this year. And in the case of last year, the information was not available. And so I can't support what's not ready. We fast forward and the information came in and we advanced it, but there's a rationale sometimes when those types of items are not supported from my perspective and Jody's.
My concern is having some kind of corrective action from fee increases that I don't think were necessary, and unnecessary fees being put on the public. Which I really believe that we shouldn't have been changing. I mean, I don't think disposal of yard refuge at the town dump should have cost anything. It should have been free, it should have been zero.
and I think,
It should have
but
never increased.
Mark, if, with all due respect, that's not, we will get around to talking about that, but I think for the purposes of this discussion, we are talking about, and the way we're going to interact with departments. We think it's beneficial, but it should be respectful, limited in its scope. It should be limited in its scope, in its time. 1 or 2 hours is sufficient for most departments. 1 hour is probably sufficient for most. 2 hours for.
2 hours for the
No,
bigger
I
department.
understand,
Yeah,
that's
the
what I
larger
said,
ones.
but not 3, not 4, not a day. And
Not a session where you need a lunch break.
right, and it should not be about telling them how to run the department. It's our point, we're not here to get into the weeds to tell people how to run departments.
Well,
We're here to look at their expenditures, to understand how it's run. But we don't say, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. I like that plow, I don't like this plow, I like that, I mean,
I think more succinctly, it's important that every member of this committee not address the departments with an agenda. Leave the agenda out of it. It's a matter of going over what's given to us in the way of expenses and revenues and defending or questioning the
judgments of,
the judgment of the material that's being presented. And we need to keep agendas out of it.
Well said. Okay,
a comment though.
Go ahead.
I think last year we initiated maybe the sort of the clearinghouse with Brian, or was it the year before? It doesn't matter. And at the beginning, whenever it was, there was some concern by some members how that was gonna be handled. And I was one of the members. I was concerned that, and I wasn't sure what Brian was gonna do. Was he just gonna gather things and then send them on? Or was he making judgments on the validity and was he judging questions?
I don't
And is
think
that?
so, but did you see him do that? I mean, if
No,
we
no,
should
no.
find out if,
No,
I
no,
don't
I was
think that
just,
was the
I
intent.
think we were, there were
Yeah.
some of us that were a little worried about how that was gonna proceed and how that was gonna be handled. And I would just like to hear from the chairman and what your thoughts are, that Brian, and I don't know whether you get involved with the questions, but are they being, looked at, are they being questioned, are they being judged? And if they are, then for some reason, maybe they should get back to the questioner.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think if Brian, and cause Brian might, I don't know, Brian, he might have an opinion. He's on a lot.
I'm sure he does.
But no, he has a lot of different, he's on different boards, so he might have an opinion. But the whole point was so that Jody or others don't have 5 emails.
Yeah.
At random times asking for information. The point was for him to amass the information,
Okay.
not to weed
That's
through it
the-
and
that's
say, I
the-
don't like that question, so I'm not gonna ask it.
Okay,
But if he has an issue with someone's question, he'll probably raise it
bring it back.
with you.
Yeah, he would
Well,
definitely
that-
raise it.
Yeah, he'll raise it with the person who's asking for the
That
information.
point was brought up and I was with you on that. And if I felt that Brian was emphatic that, no, he's not gonna filter questions. He's gonna gather them,
Okay,
and rather than have them be asked 5 times, it'll be asked once.
But if he does have a question, I'm sure he'll come back to you. Yeah, I don't think he's just gonna ignore it.
no, I wasn't,
Yeah,
I don't think
he'll
he
do
was,
that.
he
I
was
don't-
misbehaving.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. Okay. Alright, with all that said, now we should go into the assignments for committee members. And we have the list, so why don't we go, town clerk was Bill and Marissa, and anybody, you can call them out, the ones you want, and if we wanna change or add, Bill, you still wanna do it, or do you wanna
Well,
do something else?
I thought the consensus was that we would, there are times, it's fine, but there was a consensus that let's year by year have
Mix it
people
up.
do different
Yeah.
assignments. And then we get a cross-section of
That's fine.
inquiry.
Adam, you wanna do town clerk?
Sure.
Okay. I don't think we need 2 for everything. Okay. Assessing. It was Bill and Bob last year. Mark, you wanna do assessing?
Sure. To assess it.
And I just might add that I think our attitude was, in many cases, just one person is necessary.
Yeah.
But there might be a second person who would really
Who
like
wants to?
to
Yes,
jump in,
absolutely.
and by all means.
Yep, so if you want to do something, say, I wanna do that. Raise your hand. But otherwise, I think that's right. Finance was me and Brian last year, who, let's put 2 people, because this is a group, we did a whole group of these. Who would like to do in place of Brian and me for finance, employee benefits, insurances, town manager, select board, general government? It's a lot of little things.
It's fine with me. Ron,
Okay,
take
Bob?
that if you want, yeah.
Who wants to do it, Bob?
I'll do that.
Okay. Alright, appreciate that. Okay, conservation, Marissa and Richard, do you wanna do that? I'll do that with
Sure,
somebody, okay.
I'll do it.
It's usually kind of small. Library, I did it last year with Marissa, anybody like to do it? Adam, you wanna do it? Adam and Bob?
You say Adam and Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam and Bob.
Okay.
Information Center. Marissa did that alone, I mean, I'm happy to do the Information Center unless somebody else has a burning desire. Harbor was Richard and Bob,
I did that last year, I'd like to do it again.
you would like to?
Yep.
That's fine.
Can I join you on that?
Yep, you wanna do that?
Yeah.
Who's that, Richard?
Mark,
Mark.
Code and Planning, wait, did we,
That's, who's in charge of that department?
that was Jodine, but
We did Harvard.
Jodine, yeah, I did that last year.
you did?
Harbor, Richard and Bob is gonna be Mark and Bob. So we took your recommendation and we have
Oh, yeah.
made code and planning and enterprise. Last
Right.
year, code was done by Bill and Bob and planning was done by Ron and Russ.
Okay, so how about if I do Code and Planning with Bob, is that okay? Alright, grants, it's all of us, right?
Yes.
Parks and Rec, so who would like to do?
I'd like to
Yep,
jump in
Richard,
on
I'd like
that.
to do that too.
Richard and Bob, okay, I know you did it last year, but it's okay. So Activity Center is also Richard and Bob and Enterprise, Parks and Rec CIP. Alright, Public Works, let's mix this up. I actually have not ever done Public Works, so I'd like to do Public Works. And I think, who wants to do,
Now,
it was Richard, Bill and Mark last year.
Did what, Ron? Which,
It was Public Works, local roads reimbursement, transfer, transportation. Are those that would get Richard, Bill and Mark, I don't know, Ron and Bob or Ron,
that's fine.
before,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, before we get, we've got a couple other members that we might wanna,
oh shoot. Yeah, but Brian's the one we have to stick in.
and we
Yeah.
also have a new member, David McKenzie.
Yeah. Let's,
We might want to get him involved.
yeah, well, we still have room, so thank you for that reminder, I appreciate
And
it.
Brian certainly.
I'll put Brian on Public Works with Bob and me. So we got three more, you did 3 last year, 3 completely new people.
There's a lot of information there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Facilities was Richard and Marissa, anybody wanna give that to David?
So
And
that's,
who wants to?
that's now done by Carol, so facilities got moved under
Oh,
public works.
sorry, thank you, so I guess
Okay.
it's all the time, we
It'll
go
all
all the way
realign
down.
up.
Alright, thanks for that. Alright, IT infrastructure was Brian and Richard last year. We wanna make Brian do it again?
He seemed like he was.
Anybody wanna do it with him?
So that, probably
Adam, you wanna
whoever
do it?
does the police, because it's the same,
Right,
the
good
same
point.
reviewers, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so do we wanna say Brian and Adam?
Get Dave also to think of too.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Did I
Yeah,
not put
good.
David on anything? How about, okay. Sorry, I jumped ahead to police because of what you said.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's a good point. And I know I'm rushing through, but Brian and Adam on police and dispatch. And public safety and animal control.
Wait a minute.
I just jumped
Oh.
ahead, I jumped
Yeah, you
over
did.
fire because, sorry,
I haven't done, I'm gonna speak out. I haven't done fire in a number of
Yes.
years. I'd like to do fire.
Okay, I would too,
alright.
if there's more than one.
Richard and Bob.
Well, let's put David on there as well, right? If he's not done one, that's a good one, it's kinda complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's 3, but,
That's right.
alright,
So
Mark,
it's
do you wanna
David,
do-
Richard, and who else?
oh, sorry, David and Bob. Mark, do you wanna do WEMS?
Which?
WEMS, I'm down past police, WEMS,
The
operating.
emergency The ambulance.
the ambulance, operating CIPs.
Sure, as long as I can do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's
WEMS, Wells Emergency Management Services? is that what
Yeah.
Wells
Medical-
Emergency Management
medical
Yeah, it's the
services.
ambulance.
Medical.
Okay.
Okay, who do we wanna, cause it was Marissa and Russ, but Mark and,
I could do that.
okay, Bill. Beach, go ahead.
Just gonna ask, who is doing Parks and Rec?
Richard and Bob.
We could throw somebody else on there if they really want, but I don't think it really requires more than two, but also, you know, we can adapt this and add David to other things based on interest.
Who is David? Was he here last year? I don't even know.
No, he's appointed as an alternate
Okay.
recently.
So Beach Enterprise, it was Brian and Richard last year.
Police chief has a piece of it, well, most of it, and myself, and the fire chief has just a couple lines.
So do you,
What is Beach Enterprise, just out of curiosity?
So that's the enterprise setup that all the revenues from the parking lots are paying for the operation of the beach, the salaries and the expenses.
Okay.
It's with police, I can do that one too.
okay. Yeah, shout out, so for Beach Enterprise, it's Adam and Brian?
Sure, yeah.
Is there anybody else who wants, do we wanna put anybody else on to police, or you think we have enough in there, two enough?
A third, it may be a good place for Dave McKenzie
Yeah.
to be part
Okay.
of, to learn.
Yeah, to learn, yeah,
little bit more.
okay, yeah, let's do that. We're just lucky we didn't sign them up for everything. Then we had union, non-union salary adjustment.
So
That's
we,
it?
that was a big number in the
Right.
current budget because none of our union contracts were up. We don't know what that number's gonna be this year, but Mike and I usually cover it, so
Okay, do
either you can do it,
you wanna
all
just,
of you when we do salaries, or,
why don't we just say all?
Yeah.
I don't know why Brian and I were special last year, but, okay, so everything else is all. Alright, let's say, we ran through that fast, but let's see if there's any adjustments we should make, if anybody says, okay, I didn't get enough to do and wants to be added. I'm just looking at,
I may have gotten off a little light.
okay, I'm just looking for things that are somewhat complicated in this grouping. I mean, all the town clerk stuff is relatively small, but it's a lot of things, but it's would you prefer, I'm on code and planning. Bill, would you rather be on that with Bill and me? I mean, Bill and Bob? Instead of me? Or is there something you'd,
Okay, so you got me on finance with Bob and.
I'm on, no, Bob and Bill are, you guys are, yeah, you guys are on finance. And then I'm just saying, if you think you got off light, is there something else you wanna do? It's got two people. You wanna do code and planning, or do you just find where you are? What do you wanna think about it? Cause we can do that too.
Yeah, let me think about
We
it.
can do that. Mark, you got off a little light, do you wanna do, you wanna
I
do,
got three sections.
do you wanna, yeah, where did you?
I got assessing,
assessing.
harbor, and WEMS.
Okay, that's actually a lot, that's actually, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's enough,
Mark, what, it was WEMS, Harbor, and what?
WEMS, harbor, and assessing.
and assessment. Alright. How about Adam, you feel you have enough to do?
Yeah, I'm putting on 5.
Okay, there you go, you're gonna
Alright,
be
if
the
you
gold
feel,
star.
if you feel we gave you too much, as I'm throwing stuff
Well,
out,
you
no, but
gotta-
seriously.
You gotta pay your dues.
Adam, if you feel like there's too much, let
earn your keep.
let me know, seriously. Because library, I have always thought library's
I can,
interesting, but
I'll take on the library if you want me to take on the library.
no, but if these guys are, you're like,
Wanna do-
you
wanna
raised
do
your
the
hand for
library?
library.
That
so-
was
Seems interesting.
full.
Yeah, it
I
is
like the
interesting.
I'll
library.
take
The
that
library's
off.
good.
You and me doing library.
The library is
Yeah.
good. Alright, I think we're
If you want a
all
different
set.
one.
We can make it, if we really have to, we can make adjustments as we move. We're not totally inflexible beings.
Alright, old man, you better learn how to take care of your cane.
Well, that, we flew through that. Do you? Okay, so what's next? We don't have,
What's the target dates to complete all these?
yeah, we have.
So,
So what
so,
are we doing for budget books and all of that?
so the budget goes to the Board of Selectmen next
Yeah.
Wednesday night. So we can release them to the budget committee Wednesday night or Thursday morning. So those people that are doing budgets on Thursday, those departments know that you're gonna connect with them next Thursday to review their budgets.
It's a quick turnaround, is what you
Yeah,
say.
for the first day,
Quick
yeah.
turnaround for the first one, 'cause February first is,
Yeah,
Can I ask how the process is gonna play out? I'm just
Yeah.
out of curiosity and how the process happens.
the whole budget process.
Well, just, yeah, just if you
Yeah.
can summarize it.
Yep, so the Board of Selectmen will be presented the budget next Wednesday. They turn it over to the Budget Review Committee. So that's why we'll start our review next Thursday. And then usually the week prior to the meeting, you can meet with your budget people. Except for next week, everybody's expecting to be reviewed on Thursday. We set the schedule up, looks like we're done by February 28th. Once that happens, we give your recommendations back to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen will have a chance to look at your recommendations in the budget, and if they have changes like that they wanna make, they would put forward those, and then we bring you guys together, and that's when we do reconciliation. And the board comes forward with their numbers, and you would have to vote on their numbers if you chose to accept those or not. Then we vote on, you're gonna officially vote on the warrant articles that go to the public. We have a joint public hearing, we sign the warrant, and pretty much then goes out.
Then we all collapse.
Yeah.
that is an aggressive.
It's gonna be,
It's aggressive.
we have to be done by April 12th.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's aggressive.
So after February 1st is when we'll reach out to department managers and set up meetings?
You can actually, so you know
Is
who
it-
you're gonna review, you can reach out as soon as tomorrow. You just
I
can't,
thought the budget.
you just can't go in until Thursday so set a time on February 1st to meet with them.
Okay, so after the February 1st meeting,
Yeah,
we can reach out to the department
Oh, yeah.
managers and set up meetings.
No, it's not after.
No.
no, you can,
You've gotta be ready to give your presentation on February first.
It's a week.
I know.
Yes, you don't have much time. You basically, and that's
But you-
why,
Well,
But
when can
let
we
me-
meet with them?
well,
Okay.
cause right now we have no budget book for you to
But-
even look at.
so you'd
Right.
have to arrange for the discussion
On the
same
day.
on that same day. But remember this, these are put up front because they're relatively straightforward,
Right.
Right.
right? I mean, these, that's why these always go first. This town clerk through cable TV studio.
Oh.
Because it's pretty straightforward, and these guys are also gonna be here.
Right.
To be able to talk about it. No,
Are
Go
we
ahead.
starting a week early?
It seems earlier than
No,
last.
I mean from previous years?
We're starting about a week late.
A week-
Yeah, well, last year we started the 18th, January 18th.
Is there a reason why you push this, like, jam that up for this first week?
We are crunched on staff. And we had a collision of many needs and we're short on personnel, so we ended up having to crunch this. That's why we had to push it back, forward another week. Our accountant is out, so Jody is shouldering a tremendous amount of workload. And so
As far as getting a budget ready to give to the selectmen on Tuesday, the 31st.
That's correct.
So we have to have, the budget has to go to the Board of Selectmen before it can go to you.
Right.
We couldn't make last Tuesday's meeting, and the next official board meeting is the first meeting in February.
But why couldn't we have had, why couldn't we have had our first work session on the 7th or the 8th?
Because that puts us too far into March if the board's gonna take a couple meetings to review, to then get us to reconciliation and public hearing prior to April 12th. We have to be done before Friday, April 12th, the signed warrant has to go to the town clerks.
Yeah, it is,
It's tight.
it's synonymous with last year, which was probably our most aggressive year, and it worked, because
Yeah.
we had a lot of veterans.
Yeah.
And the same with this, but I agree with Richard, it's
Yeah.
very fast forward.
This
It's
is-
just that you do have departments that should not be too terribly complex.
Right, that's why Ron and Brian did them last year, because they reviewed them that morning and we had the budget meeting that night.
Oh, okay.
I think we can swing it, but it
No,
is
I
tight.
do, it is tight, I totally agree. I agree. But, you know, it is what it is.
So
that's all
Okay,
I-
so between now and a week from tomorrow, is it, when's the next meeting?
Tomorrow,
Week
yeah.
from- is it Thursday?
Yeah.
Next Thursday, yeah.
I have 7 departments. I've gotta reach out to
No,
No,
no, you have 7 not lines, but
Right.
7
it's-
lines.
It's Jody and Mike,
So,
it's these two.
so next Thursday, you just tell me what time you wanna be here to meet with us.
We'll make it work.
but you can't meet, but
Next
Bob can't
Thursday
meet with you
morning.
until
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
Okay,
And then our meeting is in the afternoon or
Yeah,
evening.
yeah.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
It will be wet.
Yep, yep. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, just for the individual departments, do you have last year's budget that you're gonna distribute last year's budget to us, so we can see last year's budget compared to what,
So the budget book will
Budget's
show
gonna-
you, yep, it shows you three years worth of history.
okay.
Yeah, you'll see how they're on track over the last
So
couple of
you'll
years.
you'll be handing that out.
Yes,
for-
yeah.
And one thing that we reinstituted last year or 2 years ago was when we have the department heads with us, when we'll go around in the same way. So they'll present and then we'll go around having people, do you have questions, and ask the questions. And we can come back, but instead of it being, we're gonna try to avoid the fire from all sides at them, which I know at one point, I'll admit that I was part of. So we're gonna try to just have people go, and that's how we'll go around in order, okay? I forgot to mention that as part of the process that we used to do on a regular basis, and then we got a little casual, and that's on me. Okay. Anything else? I mean, you'll present the general when we
Sure,
do
we'll
the
give you the
introduction and the
overview,
overview
absolutely.
and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
What we're proposing, just kind of at the 40,000 foot level, we'll sum that all up for you.
Next meeting,
Yes.
beginning of next meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And anything that new or coming down the road or, yeah, okay,
Yeah, no big surprises this year.
no,
No,
Good.
that is good.
okay. And okay, great. Anybody have anything else? Any questions, comments,
So
joys, concerns?
the next meeting is going to be here on what date?
First,
First,
February 1st, which is next
5
Thursday.
o'clock?
I got
Same bad time, same bad show. Alright,
Do you know,
go ahead.
do you know if are there any other candidates in the mill that the selectmen, because we've got a couple vacancies, right?
Yeah,
I've got
and I-
a suggestion.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's one more or not. I don't believe there is right now.
There's no one,
Not sure.
you know, volunteered to.
I'll reach out to Rebecca and ask, but Dave McKenzie was our most recent. I don't know if there's anybody else.
Like I got, there was one member, his name is Marty Takesian, that expressed to me that he would like to be on the budget committee, but he's on one of the other town committees.
Okay. Right, if he fills out one of the online applications, that'll go to Rebecca, and then she can advance that for an interview and the board's consideration.
Fill out an online application. Okay, I'll have him do that.
Yep.
Thank you.
One
Yeah, go
quick
ahead.
question, so I wasn't on the committee this time last year when we were doing the interviews and meetings. For those departments on which we're with someone else on, do you all typically do them where you do like a joint
Oh,
one
yes,
together to save
yes.
time, just making sure?
Great question, right, should go as a team,
Perfect.
whether it's on the phone or whatever. Suppose you can do
We're happy to
Zoom.
Zoom if
you
that's
want- if
convenient
that
for you.
works for you,
We
yeah.
can do that, screen share, our staff can do that for you too.
It's interesting though, if you can go, like
Yeah.
the library, and maybe you already know everything about the library, but it's also interesting if you go check out the fire department or the police
harbor.
department, the harbor,
Yeah.
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 There's a lot going on down at the harbor right
I
now.
know. I saw Mike recently.
Yeah.
He's a good
Yeah.
guy.
So, yeah, if you can, but if you don't, you don't have to. If you can only do a call or a Zoom call, it's fine. But don't do separate calls, right? Great point, great point.
And if I might, Jody, cause I didn't write down everything, you'll,
Yes,
tomorrow morning at nine o'clock, we'll see you.
yes,
No.
here you go, yeah.
You'll fill in all.
I know we sped through, but I know people don't wanna, if Brian were here, he'd already be telling me to adjourn.
Has the town choir, as it were, put out word that we're looking for additional member, I mean, cause we have this.
The town puts on its
Vacancy.
website vacancies, so for people who are inquiring about where they can serve on different committees and all. It's oftentimes shown in some of the publications that Rebecca, our communications person, puts out. We'll let her know that, and make sure that we highlight that, cause obviously the timing's vital to us.
Yellow marker.
Yellow market, highlight.
Any other questions?
Motion to adjourn.
Alright,
Thanks, Brian.
second, alright,
All those in favor, we're adjourned.
thank you very much, very much.
Thank you all.
I guess it's slippery?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Can you just double check all your contact information